I'm Charlie Martin. I'm the director for the Division of Water Quality. I've been the director for about 13 years and pretty much all through the implementation and development of the Consent Decree. Well, the Consent Decree is a legal action where U.S. EPA and the state sued urban and county government for violations of the Clean Water Act. It's kind of like when you're disputing with your neighbor about where your fence is placed. Is that ultimately, when you go to the judge, he wants you to work things out on your own and come back to him with an agreement. And really, that's kind of what the Consent Decree is, except in a much larger scale. We negotiated through 2007 and early 2008, reached an agreement, and returned that to the judge. There was some period of time where it was under appeal, but it essentially came live in January of 2011. It requires us to do a lot of things that improve water quality in Fayette County, and particularly stopping or minimizing sanitary sewer overflows, and then just general pollution that ends up in streams and creeks because of urban presence. Well, we've done a lot. I mean, one of the things that we had to do is really go into a real in-depth assessment of the sanitary sewer system. We didn't really understand our sewer system well enough to be able to recommend projects and a schedule for those projects to take corrective action. So we did that through 2011, and now we're about ready to shift gears into major construction. We have a remedial measures plan that's totaling somewhere in the neighborhood of $590 million in capital expenditure over the next 11 years. On the stormwater end of things, the Consent Decree also required us to do $30 million worth of flooding improvement projects in the course of 10 years, and we're about 1/4 of the way as far as getting that work done. But it's been busy. We've had over 30 deliverables that we had to deliver to EPA by specific deadlines identified in the Consent Decree, and we've made every one so far. Well, right now on the sanitary end, we've got two significant pump station projects. One of them is the new Wolf Run project. It's out at Alexandria and Old Frankfort Pike. That project is eliminating an existing pump station, which now currently is the worst sanitary sewer overflow as far as frequency and duration in all of Fayette County. It was built in 1962, still operating today, but obviously not operating very well. Outside Winchester Road, outside I-75, as we're building the expansion area 2A pump station there, right there on Winchester Road. That will be eliminating 4 problem pump stations for us, consolidating those into one. So those are two major projects that are going on right now. On the stormwater side is we're doing a project out off of Eastland Parkway, doing a stream restoration. We're getting ready to launch the Idle Hour project, where we've had some ongoing flooding problems in the St. Anne and St. Margaret area. And then Wickland-Anniston, which is over off of Bryan Station. We're working on phase 2 of a multi-phase project over there that will total over $1 million. On the capital end, it's going to ramp up considerably, particularly on the sanitary sewer side. I said that we were projecting spending $590 million to make overflows go away as far as when it rains under certain conditions. That's spread out over 11 years, so if you even do the math, that's a whole lot of money. Basically, we're looking at capital expenditures anywhere between $38 and $55 million a year for the next 11 years. On the stormwater side, the costs aren't near as astronomical they are on the sanitary sewer side. Again, the Consent Decree requires us to spend $30 million over the course of 10 years on flooding projects. Those folks in town know, though, that we've got a master list of priority flooding projects that greatly exceed that $30 million. Once we get the $30 million expended, I guess we'll recalibrate and see where we go to next. Well, on the sanitary side, it's going to affect you in unique ways, because you're going to see us wanting to do a capital project that ends up impacting your street or possibly your yard, and you're going to say, I don't have a sewer problem. But because everything flows downhill, a lot of times you have to upgrade the bottom of the hill in order to solve the problem at the top of the hill. So as things move on here, you're going to see a lot of surveyors. You're going to see folks sending you questionnaires or essentially reaching out to you about construction easements or permanent easements. I'll give you an example is that we've got a pending project over off of Bobolink Drive that we're trying to develop right now. There's a public meeting scheduled for that in early February, And what that is it gives people a chance to see how their yards are going to be impacted, because that sewer line essentially goes right down the backyard of probably 30 to 40 homes. And it's our intention, wherever we can, is to dig up the existing pipe and replace it with a new pipe. And with large diameter pipe that is deep, that's a fairly significant impact. Now, one of the things that we're implementing, that we've just started implementing, is that people are always worried about their yard restoration. And so what we've done differently than in the past is we've hired landscape architects to go out and negotiate with property owners about the restoration of their yards. What we found in the past is oftentimes people weren't happy with what our contractor would do. You know, we're hiring a pipeline contractor, not a landscape guy. And so the new approach is to arrive at a value for the restoration and maybe enter into an agreement with the property owner to where we pay them and they restore the yard to their satisfaction. We've launched that in one area so far, and it's been well received, because then the property owner feels like, okay, I'm inconvenienced by all this construction, but at least I have some control about what it's going to look like when they're done. I've been focusing on the capital construction because that gets a lot of people's attention, but one of the biggest things that we're going to be doing moving forward that's a complete 180 from what we've done in the past is the Sanitary Sewer Capacity Assurance Program. In the past, we being Irving County government, have done a good job of evaluating the available capacity in the system before we connect new customers. The consent decree requires us to do that now, and so there was a task force made up of council members late last year that helped us put together recommendations for a plan that was sent to EPA in December of last year. We're awaiting approval of that plan, but our intention is to implement it such as that all new connections, we have to certify capacity in the sanitary sewer system under certain conditions. And if we don't, then we can make repairs in the immediate area that exceed what the new connection will contribute. That way that incrementally, even though we're not going on a moratorium, that the capacity in the system improves even with each new connection that gets added to it. It's a 180 from what we've done in the past, and I think the development community, folks who are not only developing, redeveloping, or expanding their businesses, we're going to have a lot of work to do to be able to make sure that they're informed as early as possible what the conditions are before they make significant investments in trying to do a project, because we don't want them to invest in that project and then find out there's not sewer capacity for them to do it. In the sanitary sewer system alone, 82 projects over the course of that 11 to 13 years. Some of them people won't notice at all, some of them people are going to notice a lot. We ask for the customer's patience and cooperation in this. It's going to be hard. It's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Decades have gone by with these problems manifesting themselves. I have, like I said, a 13-year history with that. And like I said, I guess we're just going to ask for forgiveness in advance and patience in the front end, that where we can solve these problems and we don't have a reputation of being the biggest polluter in Fayette County.